Really wise words from Simone McGill. But while there are more women playing football on TV, there are still areas which need drastic improvement.
When I think about the women's game in this country today, I can't get my head around the lack of diversity at elite level. It's not reflective of the game or society, in my opinion. And if you go back a couple of years to the World Cup 2019, out of the whole of that England squad, there were only 2 players that were not white. And since then, England have fielded teams that have been all white players. How and why have we got to this stage, and what are we going to do to ensure that that starts to change?
I'm meeting up with Deborah Nelson, who was a promising young footballer. But she gave up playing after an experience with racism left her disillusioned with the game.
Hey, hello, how are you?
Oh God, I feel like I need to go on tiptoe.
Good to see you. You too. It's been a long time.
I wanted to speak to Deborah after seeing a concerning post on social media.
For me to see you speaking out about this current England team, saying how as a young black woman, this team does not speak to you or inspire you, it's so alarming to me. Like, why? Why did you say that?
It's really painful because it's like, I think it's because you need to feel like you can see yourself in someone in order for them to be a role model. You need to be able to feel like you can connect with them. And if someone doesn't have the same lived experiences as you, isn't of the same background as you, like there's so many parts of someone's identity, and if you can't connect with at least one element of someone's identity, how can they then be your role model?
We have to question why that's happening and look at, you know, what's going on with the bottom tiers of the game and grassroots, and you know, are they not there, which, you know, I highly doubt, or they're just not funneling through somehow to the right pathways.
I think what's happened is that until quite recently, because the women's game didn't have a lot of money, it tended to run the academies, or the sort of centres of excellence they used to be called, at the men's training ground, potentially somewhere quite sort of leafy and rural, and therefore not everybody had access to be able to come into that. And I think that's led to sort of a situation now where the pipeline isn't maybe as diverse as it should be, but I think that is changing.
When I was playing, I was probably one in a team full of white girls, and, you know, kind of really had to struggle to get to training. You know, my coach used to pick me up, then we'd get a bus, then we'd end up. So the ways in which we had to get to training were difficult, and I think what we can learn from that is that we need to make the training as accessible as possible for girls who want to play the sport, so that there aren't any kind of barriers to wanting to just play.
In the last year, we've had this player pathway review, which is about working with the clubs to say, how are we going to diversify and improve the talent pathway? So all of the work that we've been doing and the pilots is all about how do we make sure that we widen that base and we diversify that base so that we've got more and diverse talent coming through into our system. It's been a big focus.
Given where the game is going and how much better it's getting, and the amount of support that we're getting, I think that it can only encourage different ethnicities to be part of the game, and that's what I'm kind of hopeful for, is that with the equal opportunities, with the more exposure, then more people want to join and have the opportunity to play.
It's good to hear the FA are aware of the issues around accessibility to training and are putting plans in place to work with the clubs. But the FA are not the only ones working hard to help grow the game in all communities.
Tell me about the work that you're doing now.
Currently I'm working for Football Beyond Borders, which is an organisation that uses the power of football to engage young people that are struggling in school or from a disadvantaged background. A lot of what I've recognised through my own journey and what I've realised in school is girls' football is either doesn't exist or is always the first thing to go. So for me, what my role is using a vessel, which is Football Beyond Borders, to be able to provide a school and also the girls that attend that school the opportunity to play football.
I feel we've got to a stage where there's a lot of positive things going on, but this conversation with you will make a lot of people realise that there's areas that we still need to work so hard on to turn corners.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you.
Appreciate you for having this conversation as well. Thank you.
With only 3 non-white players in the current England Euro squad, how are things going to change? As we heard from Kelly Simmons, a lot of that work depends on recruitment into the game and how and where we find young girls that will take up the sport.